Let me ask you something real. Not polite, not rehearsed, just raw and real. When was the last time you did something that truly scared you? Not terrified you into paralysis, but nudged you into awakening. Something that made your stomach flip, your palms sweat, your heart beat a little too fast, and your brain yell, "Why the hell are we doing this?" That moment right there. That's life inviting you to grow. That's the door to the next level. But most people, they are far away. They say, maybe tomorrow. Or, I'm just not ready yet. Or the classic, that's not my thing. And the door? It doesn't slam shut. It just fades. And here's the truth. Comfort is a silent killer. It whispers lullabies while it steals your ambition. It keeps you warm, keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. You weren't made to be small. You were made to stretch, to break molds, to expand. Every person you admire, every icon, leader, or game changer, was once terrified too. Oprah? She battled poverty and rejection. Elon Musk? He was told over and over that his ideas were crazy. Rosa Parks? She sat down in a place she wasn't supposed to, and that one act shook the world. They didn't start bravely. They chose to get uncomfortable. Let's be clear. Discomfort is not the enemy. It's the compass. If it scares you, if it challenges you, if it shakes you up inside, it probably means it matters. Progress doesn't happen in a comfort zone. That zone? It's like a nice warm bath. Feels good, sure, but stay in it too long, and you get soft. Stay in it too long, and you start shrinking when you should be rising. Discomfort is the gym for your soul. It's where strength is built. Slowly, painfully, gloriously. But we've been conditioned to avoid it. From school to society, we're told, take the safe path. Be realistic. Don't make waves. That's not guidance. That's a prescription for mediocrity. There's a story I love about a lobster. Yeah, stay with me. Lobsters don't grow like we do. Their bodies are rigid, encased in a hard shell. As they grow, the shell becomes tight, painful. So, what do? They hide under a rock, shed the old shell, and grow a new one. But that only happens through discomfort. Without that pressure, the lobster doesn't grow. And you're no different. The tightness, the pain, the frustration, it's not a problem. It's a signal. You're outgrowing your current shell. You're being called to expand. We all have dreams. Big ones, silent ones, crazy ones. We don't even tell our friends. But here's the deal. Your dream lives on the other side of discomfort. Every step forward will cost you something. Maybe pride, maybe convenience, maybe certainty. But what do you gain? Unshakable confidence, authentic strength, true freedom. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That discomfort? That's not life being unfair. That's life handing you the tools to level up. I want you to imagine your life 5 years from now. Picture it vividly. Where are you? Who's with you? What are you doing? Now be honest. If you don't change anything, if you stay where you are, doing what's safe and comfortable, will you end up there? For most people, the answer is no. And it's not because you're lazy. It's because change is hard. Because stretching hurts. Because it's easier to numb out with Netflix, scroll endlessly on social media, or stay in a job that drains you just because it pays the bills. But easier doesn't lead to greatness. Easier leads to regret. You don't need to take a giant leap today. You don't need to sell everything and move to Bali. But you do need to move. 1 inch outside your comfort zone. 1 uncomfortable conversation. 1 bold action. 1 risk you've been putting off. Because growth is not a switch. It's a practice. A decision you make daily. Not just when the stars align. I remember a woman who came to one of my events. Tired, broken, stuck. She'd stayed in a toxic relationship for years because she was afraid of being alone. She didn't believe she could survive without that person. But after just one weekend of facing her fears, of stepping into her discomfort, she walked away. Today, she runs her own business, travels the world, and tells me, "That pain was my greatest gift. It woke me up." Pain wakes you up. Discomfort breaks you open. You are not meant to drift. You are meant to drive, to steer your life boldly, even through storms. And the moment you embrace discomfort, not as punishment, but as preparation, that's when you start becoming unstoppable. Let's talk about fear. Not the horror movie kind. I mean the real, subtle kind. The fear that wears a mask. I'm just being responsible. I'm waiting for the right time. I need more information. That's not caution. That's fear dressed in logic. And it's killing your momentum. You know what the most dangerous place in life is? The waiting room. That place where you tell yourself you're getting ready. Weeks go by, then months, then years. And one day, you wake up and wonder, where did all the time go? It went into the illusion of safety. But safety doesn't build legends. Courage does. And courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward with fear screaming in your ear. It's showing up even when you don't feel ready. Because here's the thing. You'll rarely feel ready. Readiness is a lie the mind tells to avoid risk. I think about the first time I spoke in front of a crowd. My palms were sweating so much that I could barely hold the mic. My voice cracked. My heart pounded. But I spoke anyway. Why? Because the mission was bigger than my fear. The message was louder than my nerves. And you? You have a message too. A purpose. Something that only you can bring to the world. But it won't come out until you stop feeding the fear and start feeding the fire. Nelson Mandela once said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." That's what discomfort gives you. The opportunity to triumph. Not over someone else. Over yourself. Over the voices that say you can't, you shouldn't, you're not enough. Let me tell you another quick story. There was a man who climbed Mount Everest, not because he wanted fame, but because he'd spent his whole life avoiding discomfort. One day, something clicked. He said, "I've been dying a slow death in comfort. I want to feel alive." So he trained, failed, got injured, got discouraged, and climbed anyway. At the summit, he said he didn't feel like a superhero. He just felt true. Not perfect, not fearless, just real. And sometimes, that's the highest you can climb in life. Being fully authentically you. But here's the twist. Not all discomfort is external. Some of the deepest challenges are inside. Saying no when you always say yes. Setting a boundary. Asking for help. Forgiving yourself. These are emotional Everest climbs. And they take just as much grit. We grow when we lean into those moments instead of shrinking away. If you've ever tried to start something new, maybe a business, a creative project, a relationship, you know the beginning is awkward. You're stumbling in the dark, questioning everything. That's normal. It's like learning to dance. At first, you step on toes. You feel silly. But you keep moving, and eventually, it becomes grace. Growth isn't sexy. It's messy. It's vulnerable. It's stumbling forward with scraped knees and a burning heart. But that mess? That's where the magic lives. Discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. Look at a butterfly. Before it flies, it must dissolve in a cocoon. Total breakdown before breakthrough. You're not broken when you feel lost. You're in the cocoon. Trust the process. Keep pushing the walls. Because on the other side, you don't just get wings. You remember you always had them. Now I want you to think of one area in your life where you've been playing it safe. One space where, deep down, you've been avoiding growth. Don't judge yourself. Just be honest. That's your target. That's where you lean in. And remember, progress is not about perfection. It's about intention. It's about waking up each day and saying, I'm willing to feel a little discomfort if it means I'm moving closer to the life I want. You don't change your life by making massive leaps occasionally. You change it by choosing discomfort. Consistently, intentionally, relentlessly. Like Martin Luther King Jr. said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. So, what's your step today? Maybe it's speaking your truth. Maybe it's starting something before you feel ready. Maybe it's letting go of something that's keeping you small. Whatever it is, do it scared. Do it messily. But do it, because every time you lean into that discomfort, you become a little more resilient, a little more alive, a little more you. And you're more powerful than you've been led to believe. You've taken the first steps. You've felt the tremor of your courage. Now it's time to make discomfort a daily ally, not a sporadic visitor. Imagine waking tomorrow morning and before the caffeine kicks in, you decide on one act of discomfort. Maybe it's sending that pitch email that's been sitting in drafts. Maybe it's calling someone who scares you to ask for mentorship. Maybe it's sharing a vulnerable post on social media about what you're feeling. It doesn't have to be huge, just bold enough to awaken your warrior spirit. Because here's the secret. Courage compounds. One courageous act begets another. The voice that once whispered, "What if you fail?" gradually grows fainter, replaced by a bolder question. "What if you succeed?" Let me share one last story. This one from my own life. Early in my career, I had the chance to pitch an idea to a major investor. My knees shook as I stood in that glass boardroom, the stakes all too real. My mind raced. They'll see right through you. You're not ready. But then I remembered Rosa Parks, who refused to move to the back of the bus. Not because she was fearless, but because her conviction was stronger than her fear. And so I spoke my truth, stumbling at first, catching my breath, and then finding my rhythm. By the end, the room was leaning in. The investor said yes. That moment changed my life. Rosa Parks didn't start the civil rights movement by waiting for permission. She started it by simply staying seated in her seat. You don't need permission either. You need willingness. It's easy to admire courage from afar. It's another thing entirely to stand in its fire yourself. Burn away the doubts. Let the flames of discomfort forge you into something greater. Remember what Viktor Frankl taught us in Man's Search for Meaning. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Discomfort is that invitation to change yourself. It's the clay in your hands, malleable, waiting for your intention. So, here's your challenge for the next 30 days. 1. Identify one small discomfort each morning. It can be as simple as changing your routine, or as big as pitching a bold idea. 2. Act on it immediately. Don't overthink. Feel the fear, then do it anyway. 3. Reflect each evening. Journal one lesson you learned and one way you surprised yourself. By day 30, you won't recognize your old self. You'll look back and say, "I can't believe I used to be afraid of that." Because you won't just be different. You will be transformed. As Theodore Roosevelt said, "Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much." Your destiny isn't to drift in the shallows of comfort. It's to dive into the depths of possibility. Today, choose the path less comfortable. Choose the stretch. Choose the growth. Let discomfort be your compass, steering you toward your highest self. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. If this resonated, hit subscribe, leave a comment about your first act of discomfort, and share this with someone who needs a nudge. Together, let's redefine what's possible. One brave step at a time. Now go. Step into your next great challenge and watch as your world expands in ways you never imagined.